Cidava 13-inch screen for your 14 through 19 Chevy vehicles, GM vehicles. As far as I know, it works in the GMC Sierra and the Chevy Silverado. If you have the Bose, this unit requires a extra module to make it work with the Bose stereo. Another thing is, I did do an install video on the putting the unit in, but they actually have one from Cidava that is really excellent. I'm gonna link it in the description of this video, and mine may help you out some. If you have any extra questions that I don't cover, I watched their video as I was installing this video. Really good video, really laid out, really well thought of. Yeah, and I have had to call, I didn't have to call customer service, I just had a couple questions, so I called them, and I was really impressed with their customer service. When I called, they didn't answer the phone. They shot me a text immediately back and said, hey, we're on the phone with other customers. Can we answer a question through a text, or can we give you a call back? And I just shot them my question, and they texted me right back. So anyway, I've had it in here for about a week or so now. I really like it. It transformed the whole interior of the truck. When I say that, I mean, if you have one of these trucks, going from that to this, it's like getting in a different vehicle when you go to leave. You know, just completely different look. One thing that probably the biggest question that I had before I took this unit, and nobody seemed to answer it, was, will it work with the factory Wi-Fi in the truck? Your 4G Wi-Fi hotspot that you can get through OnStar. Yes, it does work. That's how this one works right now. So I'll go ahead and turn the unit on, and there's your boot up time. So that is a massive difference over what I had from the factory. Now, I put 633,000 miles on this truck, and when you put that many miles on a vehicle, you get used to it. You get used to everything about it, the way it's laid out and all. And it's taken a while to adjust to having this in here, but it's good adjustment. It's not been bad adjustment. So with it being connected to the hotspot, right now it's saying can't reach internet. Within a few seconds, that usually changes over, and you see my little picture come up at the top, and it connects, and everything works fine. I don't know why it's not on that right there. Let's see. Go ahead and go back to the home screen. But I had read on Amazon, I looked this up on Amazon before I actually decided to install one in this truck, and there was a couple of comments that said it was kind of slow. This thing is anything but slow. So we'll turn on YouTube just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. This is the videos. It is connected to the internet. I don't know why Google Maps was saying it wasn't a minute ago, but that's just how fast it comes up. One thing that I really think is a good touch is, so now we got in full screen, but we don't want to listen to this. We'll go to the next song. Just turn the knob right here, and it takes you to the next song. Look how fast that booted up. That's faster than my phone. And it's running through the internet on the truck. So if you don't have a hotspot in the truck, then you just use your mobile hotspot from your cell phone, or just however, because you will need a Wi-Fi connection to get it to function online. I don't know why it started spinning right there. Normally everything is right on time. Oh, I don't know about that. We go to a different videos, and everything just kicks right off, starts playing. The audio is great. It is actually so much better than the factory stereo. One thing about the audio is, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. One thing about the audio, you come in here, DSP, click it, you have a 16-band EQ, and you come over here and drag this sideways. You got all your stuff for your, like if you have amplifiers and a bigger stereo system, you got a high pass filter, mid pass filter, and your low pass filter with a subwoofer game right here on the screen. Come on over one more page, sound field delay. I moved this dot all the way to the back. I don't think I'd ever heard the back speakers in this truck from the front seat until I did that, and oh my gosh, what a difference. It really woke the stereo up in here just by moving that dot to the back. And it's not just a fader. It doesn't turn the volume down on the front speakers and increase the volume on the back. I don't know how it makes the magic happen, but you can tell the volume doesn't change on the front speakers. Just, it's like the back speakers just get better. I don't know how to explain it. So that in itself made the sound quality a whole lot better. So control the gain on every individual speaker, all the individual speakers, all four corners. And then that's the last one. Okay, so hit the back button. So here's my Ring security cameras. I think this is an awesome touch, being able to add stuff like this on here, because it is essentially an Android tablet, so you should be able to add apps that work on your tablet right straight here, like Netflix. I have Tubi. See, so here's my house, here's my shop. Click on this, go to live view, boom, we're looking at my front porch right now. Alright, so you can get off of that, go here. This is the shop. Now the shop's internet is not that great. It does work, but the notification stuff takes just a split second longer than it does at home. So let's see, we'll full screen it, and then I can move around the shop. I can zoom in. I think I can zoom in. Well, maybe it won't let you. It will, I just may need both hands to do it. So, you know, if I want to look at any certain part in the shop, like the door is right over here. So, yep. But I think that's pretty neat to be able to be somewhere else and check this out right here from the screen on my truck. And then let's see if this is going back straight yet, because I think what had happened is the last time I was in the truck, I had asked it to take me to the Joplin 44 Petro just to see how well it was going to work. I was just giving it some different things. So let's see. Let me find the delete button, get rid of that. And I'll say, click the button right here. Take me to the Petro truck stop in Glendale, Kentucky. Just that fast. 4 hours, 8 minutes. All figured out. So, I like the Google Maps, seeing as how that's what I use most of the time anyway. Unless I'm going on a long road trip towing a trailer, then I use the Garmin Trucker's GPS. But overall, I'm really happy with this unit. The climate control, everything. I was kind of curious about that because I'm used to the knobs and buttons from the factory, but a lot of my lights have burned out on, or a couple of my lights have burned out on the climate control. So this is nice that all this looks nice and fresh and new again, versus having a couple of burned out buttons. And it's just a really sleek look, not having the screen and the buttons and all that scattered out like it was from the factory. Another gentleman, the first one of these I saw in a truck, the gentleman had bought it because his screen had blacked out and he couldn't get it to do anything. It became unresponsive. It would come on, the lights would light up, but you couldn't touch anything. You could touch it, but it wouldn't take you anywhere. So he had bought one of these to replace his factory screen with, and he absolutely loves it. If you go to car settings right here, you have all the different settings that you had in your stock head unit, your rear seat reminder, which this truck didn't come with that. This is going to have some extra options probably that your vehicle is not going to be compatible with, but it should have all the options that your vehicle is compatible with, plus like the higher trim levels. So rear seat reminder, I don't have that. Hands-free lifted tailgate, I don't have that. Auto memory recall, I do have that. And chime volume, just all the different things that would be in your factory stereo, like turning the heated seats on when you do a remote start, elevated idle with this being a diesel. All that stuff is right in here. So you used to have all those. Plus you also have your OnStar calling in here, so you're not going to lose OnStar functionality. Navigation system info. Now I haven't played around with that too much because I've never used the OnStar navigation. But we'll back out of here and show you the climate control. Comes up and it's got all your buttons here, but then you also have the hard buttons up and down through here, so you don't have to touch the screen to control anything with the climate control, except one I noticed to hit the auto button, which I leave it on auto. I have to bring that up and push the auto button right there. But a really nice look when you've been used to looking at the factory unit for so long. Let's see, I was talking about Tubi. I do have Tubi that I watch movies on if I'm going to watch movies. I don't have a lot of time for watching movies anymore, and I'm usually straight up a YouTube kind of guy. But the reason I'm opening all this stuff is just to show you how fast it is. I mean, we can pick a movie, we can pick any movie. Let's just do this. Pawn Stars. And then I didn't know Pawn Stars was a movie. Maybe it's a TV show, but pops up just that fast, so we're not feeling it. When we'll get out of here and go to something else, then, well, that's still Pawn Stars. Outsiders, which that is a TV series. I watched it a little bit when it first came out. So got this, boots right up. Alright, so let's see. What if I decide I've already seen this and I want to skip forward to another part in the show? How fast does it take to catch up? Just that fast. And like I say, that is the Wi-Fi from the hotspot in the truck. Now, the microphone here, I should have mounted it either up here or over here, but if I'm going to have it in here, I would really like for it to be right here. I have another project coming up that's going to require me to drop the headliner, and that will be an excellent time for me to move that microphone right here in the stock location and hopefully clean it a little bit. That's why you want to make sure you don't leave your sunroof open when it's going to rain out, because you get water spots in your sunroof. But back to the stereo itself. So like I say, I'm blown away with how fast the unit is overall, and my experience is it's just been on point. You touch the button, it works. It just comes straight up. No matter what app I'm using, no matter what I'm trying to do, it's just boom, right there. That is by far my favorite thing about this unit altogether, is the speed and responsiveness of it. I also did want to show the backup camera. It does have the guidelines. You turn the wheel, the lines twist with the wheel, and I'm not a fan of that. Usually I turn it off, but I haven't for video purposes. But everything on that works. Everything on that works just as it should. So now we're going to get into my install video. Keep in mind this was about a week ago, and I had no idea about the unit at this point, and I was watching their install video while I was connecting the stereo in my truck, trying to learn what I was doing. So if you watch my install video and you still have questions, in the link in the description of this video, the link is in there to get to their install video. Hope you enjoy. So I've already opened the box, and this is everything laid out. Here's all your wiring and wiring harnesses. So there's no cutting wires, snipping wires, anything like that. It's just straight plug and play install. Supposed to be. I've never installed one of these before. Got a couple of brackets that will screw to the back of the unit to hold it in place, and if you have a spare SIM card that you can put in here like goes in a phone, that way this thing will have its own service. And I did see there's some instructions here. There are, I think, some instructions here. All this stuff is labeled, but yeah, you do get customer support. And from what I've been seeing, when I looked this up different places, they seem to have really good customer support. I've not called them, and this is what you get out of the box. Now on this, you'll take that whole bezel off that's already in the truck, and if you have heated and cooled seats, you pop these little knockouts out and put your switches in here. It shouldn't take that long, and it should be a pretty simple install. One of the first things I'm going to do, I know there's a harness that goes a T-harness that goes behind the steering wheel. And this thing is nasty. It is a work truck. You can see the dust rings everywhere. But one of the first things we're going to need to do is get a trim tool and take this off. Then you just get in here from the side and pull this apart. It just splits apart. I have a few of the different nylon trim tools here, and I'll leave links to all of those in the description. So if you need to get a set before you take on any project in any newer vehicles, you'll be able to do so, because you don't want to be in here digging around with a metal screwdriver. I'm going to come right in here and push, get in between it right there, and it should just pop loose. If not, I'll leave that one there and I'll try to get in somewhere else and work my way to the center. Right like that. I'll keep working our way around. Right like that. And eventually, when we get far enough, this should pop apart. But another thing I need to do is come right in here, and this should just slide out. Probably should have done that first. It slides out and takes off flying across the floor. Here it is. See the two little catches here? So I'm ready to reinstall. It just slides right back up there and clicks in. So put this on the dash so we don't lose it. And now we're good to go ahead and finish separating the column cover. Really, we're just wanting the bottom off. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab on the other side. You can see the catches right here. So I'm thinking you're better off to go like this to release those catches. Tried to come in from this side to be on the less visible side of it, the side that nobody's really going to see unless they're looking. And pull this plastic cover out of the way. And there's a plug underneath here that we're going to need to get at. You push a little tab right here and pull it back. But this wiring harness right here is going to be all up in your way. Pull the tab back, push the release, unplug that one, drop it down out of the way. Then you'll have room to slide this one back, and if you see, it just comes off right here, goes right around to here, and it's a T-harness. There's a little zip tie that I had to cut and just tucked it right in here, and here is the wires. You push them through, and this is pretty open. It's not like, you know, you're gonna struggle real big to push that through. And I dropped it down and went right across through here. Now, I was first trying to figure out how am I going to run that back up through there. You don't have to. Get one of the nylon pry tools, split this apart far enough that you can put that little bitty pin through there. And when you push that pin through there, then you grab it through this hole and just pull it up. It was not a big deal at all. And as I pulled it up, I just tucked it nice and neat up under there and found places to keep it from dropping down on my feet while I'm driving down the road. Taking the bullet point mount off, there's 2 screws on the outside, the 2 screws in the center, and I think our next step is to pop this trim off. Thinking if I grab right here and pull, it'll pop it off. But if you don't have the bulletproof mount and you're still gonna have to pop this off, just get anywhere on the outside edge is what I recommend. That's how I do it, and it's worked for me. Just get right in here and should be able to twist it and pull and pop off right like that. Come over here on this side, there. And I'm not discarding the stuff that I'm taking out. I actually have another truck that I'll be putting all this stuff in after we install this, the Cidava unit in here. Next thing I'm going to do is unplug my heated seats. And that's got that completely loose. These are 7mm. So now that I've pulled my screen out, I actually have clips on the back of the screen right here and across on the opposite side. So once you take those four, 1, 2, 3, 4 around the outside edges, well, you just give it a little tug and it'll come right out. So next thing is going to be unplugging this. I like to unplug the battery if I'm going to be doing this. Anytime I'm messing around with the stereo or anything having to do with these later model trucks. So this one here on the bottom is to your climate control. And that's got your factory screen completely loose. Now one thing I do like about this is I have lights out down here. This light is out, this one comes and goes and all that, and that's going to do away with this, and I'll get all my functionality back on my lights. It's got to be unplugged, and this stuff will plug back into the new head unit. I'm going to move these plugs, lay them right here, and the next thing I'm going to do is take the factory CD player out. I've had this truck 4 or 5 years, 630,000 miles. I don't think it's ever had a CD put in it. I don't own a CD anymore. Should be able to just slide this unit out and unplug it from the back. Right, like that. Now one thing you're doing when you're unplugging all this stuff and taking all this stuff out is making room for the wiring and all the other stuff on the other unit. So we're also going to be taking this out as well. So go ahead and squeeze and pull. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I did not need to take the plugs out of this unit that I'm working on now, the one at the bottom. That is your Wi-Fi unit, and I did plug all those back in and leave that unit in the truck. Use both hands, and I'm going to disconnect this one, the big plug here, and these two. A little bit challenging these here were, but you just have to find something to get a really good press on that tab and get both fingers on it and pull and wiggle a little bit, and they will come off. So now that I've gotten all this off and unplugged, now I'll be able to pull this out. Which should come out pretty easy because it kept trying to come out on me earlier whenever I was pull this module out. We'll set it right up here. Pull this module out. Set it right over here, and that allows us a lot of room to put all the other wiring and stuff that's going to be behind that other unit back in there. If you open your glove box and you squeeze the sides together, right here on the sides, you see that tab that I'm kind of pointing at right here. Alright, you squeeze it together, that'll pull fast. There's another one on the other side, and it'll pull fast. Then you got 2 Torx, T15 Torx right here, and I'm going to take these out. So there's 2 Torx bits on the bottom, 2 Torx edge screws on the bottom, one there and one there and one right there. So we'll go ahead and take these out, then the glove box comes out just like that. And the reason we did that is because there's I know there's one of these plugs. I'm gonna have to check up, but I know there's one, possibly 2. And while I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean my cabin air filter, which is right here. I'll put all these harnesses right here in the front. I know this is your CAN bus with your speaker, so for your door chime and all that, that's where that noise will come from now on. As of right now, I think it plays through one of the speakers in the truck. And then, let's see, this is your outputs, and I know that because I can see the USB, and I can see all of the RCA connections. I don't think that's the one that we're looking for. This one here may be the one I'm looking for, but I don't think so. I think that this is the main stereo harness. This is the one that plugs into the back of the stereo. So I'm going to have to refer to the video that I referred to earlier, the install video that the company actually does, to make 100% sure that I get all of this correct. Well, this kind of took me a minute to sort through everything. I was kind of overcomplicating it, and I'm going to show you what I've done. It does look complicated, but it's really not that bad, and I referred back to their install video 2 or 3 times, and it makes it a whole lot simpler. So what I've done so far is, if you come in under here, the very first plug that you come to on the HDMI module, the one that's open there, I unplugged it. That's your camera output. Plug it into the wiring harness that's supplied and run it up through to the where you can come out with the wiring on the stereo. Now, like I say, this over here, it looks very intimidating. So far, it's not seemed to be that bad. A lot of just little simple stuff. All right, there are 2 USB plugs. One of these is for Android Auto, which I'll never use. I'm not a fan of Android Auto. The other is if you wanted to put like a thumb drive in with music and or anything like that. I'm gonna assume you can do movies and music, but I'm assuming that. But yeah, that's your 2 USBs that'll live in the glove box. I'll pull my access wire back here, zip tie it up, and now for what looks to be the really rough part is right here. Now, one thing that I'm kind of getting excited about is I thought I would lose my factory Wi-Fi, but I did not have to pull this out. I pulled it out initially, right off the bat, and I put it back in when I was watching their install video and realized they never said to pull that out. So don't remove this piece. This is your XM radio antenna. You won't be using it because it's not XM radio ready, as far as I know. These jumpers right here, this needs, when you unplug some of the stuff, it just needs to have a circuit not open. It needs to have these wires to complete the circuit, so it doesn't think that something is wrong with the unit. It basically, if you unplug this, it won't work. There's another one for the CD player, does the same thing. It's just a loop to let it know, to make the truck think that nothing's been tampered with. So then, like I say, everything else is labeled extremely well. Put my, so this here says 10-pin USB line. This plugs into the back of the stereo. This plugs into the back of the stereo. It says GM USB. This plug right here, it actually plugs into another one of the factory plugs. I don't see it right off the top of my head. But what it does is it lets the stereo put out power to your USB so you can still charge your phone and all that stuff. And then the other end goes back in and out down there. Then we have your main power and ground, or power and speaker wires over here. They're labeled gray and green, just like my truck. The module for the CAN bus module is right here. It plugs in between these 2 plugs. And like I say, I'm not doing a very good job. I just really want you guys to watch their video. He does an excellent job. But see, it says 2 radio, 2 CAN box, And then you look on this side, 2 CAN box. So it's labeled really good. And then if you force some of these connectors, they could possibly go in the wrong spot. But let's see, this says to climate control. So this went to the climate control. I mean, it's just really, as long as you remember where the plugs came unplugged from. And like this here, I believe he said it's called Most Audio. I'm pretty sure that goes with the Bose system. And like all these loose wires right here, you won't use these. They should possibly be taped up and zip tied back out of the way so they won't get chafed, or pull the little gel caps off where they can start arcing later on. But for the most part, guys, it's really not been bad at all. You have OnStar output. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then you come over here to this set of wire, this wiring harness, OnStar input. Now, and you don't use any of these wires, the accessory and the ground and all that, you don't use that. So now it looks like a daggone mess, but once we get it all tidied up and start fitting it into place, I think it's going to be fine. So there are plenty of steps to go through and plenty of things to do, but the next thing that I'm going to do is take my heated seat switches out and go ahead and move those over into here, and that way when I'm ready to put it together, I don't forget that and have to take it back apart. So I'm going to go ahead and get the plastic off of the new pieces, and this just pops out. Pull the little latches down and it pops right out. Hopefully this here will do the same, kind of rough one-handed. And I don't want to damage this because it does still have my phone holder and stuff on it, and since I only have one of the big touch screens, I'll be putting this stuff into that truck, which does have the Bose stereo, so I couldn't use this in that truck. So right here on top, right here on the side, there are little squeeze points. You squeeze those down and press, and they just drop right out the front. Simple enough. Now this one should go to this side, I'm hoping, and just drop it right back in, press, and it locks right back in. Simple enough. Seems to be a good fit. I just started finish clicking in all the way, and I'm pressing on the center where I'm not pressing on the buttons, I'm pressing on the hard part in the center that's got the lights. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that one, and then we're gonna start working on the actual unit itself and getting it ready to go in the truck. So that's all good to go, and the next thing is pulling the unit out of the little bag here. And then we'll go ahead and do this too. I was gonna wait, but let's see what this thing actually looks like. That's pretty. That's massive. Anyway, so we're gonna flip it back over, and I went somewhere soft to let it rest on. So I put the buttons right down between there, kind of tighten it up, and we're gonna need to put 2 tabs. I believe they go right here, and they are right there, and that is so you can screw the unit down to the factory mounting location on top. Now we have the mounts installed. I will recommend to start this one first, the one closest to me first, and that way you have room to set the other one. I just set them on the end of the Phillips head, pushed them in. The guy in the install video actually says they do send you 2 extras just in case you drop them and lose them, and I think that is awesome for them to do. There is a SIM card holder somewhere. I saw it when I unboxed it. I think it's right over there. Anyway, so if you have an old phone laying around that's still got a plan on it, you pop this in. You don't need Wi-Fi or anything to run it. I don't have one. I'm hoping the truck's Wi-Fi will still work. If not, I have to hotspot it from my phone. But that's what this is. That's a SIM card holder. So let's get this dude in the truck, start plugging things in, and see if we can make sparks fly. I did go ahead and grab one of the provided little styrofoam holders that it's boxed in, packaged in, and I see these plugs right here, and all of a sudden I realize I haven't put my my Wi-Fi antennas in yet. So Wi-Fi antennas and GPS and all that stuff's gonna stay right there in that cubby hole. So we're at this point right here. Now I have laid the radio itself facing up on the dash. That made it easier for me to get to the plugs. And yeah, it is a mess, but it's not as bad as others I've done in the past. And I'm ready to tip it down and push all this stuff, and it'll fall right into that little area right there. Now I'm not going to go through a lot mounting the microphone. I'm planning to put it like right here, because 90% of the time I have a Bluetooth headset on anyway. I started not to even put it in, but I did want to, just to try out the audio and see how it was. But I may remove that later on. There is also a HDMI. I thought that was a very nice touch, and I believe it's an output. So if you have a big monitor in the vehicle, like over in the headliner or in the back of the headrest, you can run out to that. Plus you have so many options. I mean, just so many options for cameras, to add cameras, to add the 360 degree camera and the trigger, all kinds of stuff. And factory cam input. I mean, everything was labeled really, really well. But I'm gonna tip this thing up and try to stick it in the hole and see how it turns out. Then we'll try to fire it up. Wow, that's a big screen. That is definitely a big screen. I'm only gonna put 2 screws in it, and then we're gonna fire it up just to make sure everything works and functions as it should before I put all the trim back on. I got that screw I was just tightening, and this screw right here. I'll get it tightened up, and then we'll turn the key. Alright guys, so this screw's tight, that screw's tight. Let's see what happens here. Now that chime is from behind. Oh look, Chuck, it's you. That is cool. It's got the same color and everything. Truck's what I got. I'm assuming it'll have a little bit of a boot up time. Now, I have a friend that has this same radio. Now, this is a sponsored video. They did send me this to try it out for free. But I do have a friend that showed me this, and I actually did a little short video on it back a while back. So I'm going to learn how to work this thing for a minute, and I'll come back and tell you what I found out. That'd be better than you guys just sitting here waiting on me. But right off the bat, that's pretty cool. Kind of letting you guys know what I figure out as I go. It did connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot in the truck, so that is awesome. That way I don't have to worry about if I want to, connect Google Maps and all that. I need to sign in, of course. And I don't know. That's not it. And I know there's settings to change Celsius to Fahrenheit and all that stuff. I just don't know what it is. When it comes to putting these little wings back in, you're gonna have to peel these springs off your original, and then I need to plug my heated seats up. Almost forgot about that. Plug it in, and I think it needs to slide in onto the unit and then push in. Well, there. Alright, so that has got, still got to put the glove box back together, but that's what it looks like with these wings on. And I did have to get rough with it and bump it in, and this side I didn't get it in. It looked like it was until the shadow popped up. There. But now that it's in, everything's a pretty good fit. It looks good in here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Big thanks to Cidava for allowing me to do a review on it and send me the unit. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, highly recommend, and don't forget to check out their video. There's a link to the unit and that video and other tools that I may have used doing the installation in the description of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.